So let's talk about some geometric properties. For any two real numbers x and y, we can show that negative x squared plus y squared square root is less than or equal negative x squared. The reason is y squared is always greater than or equal to 0. So I mean, if you add a term, it should be smaller. And the same thing uh, happens with this side. So you can see y squared is greater than or equal to 0. So that means so this term should be bigger than that. And then you also know that square root x square root means the absolute value. So that means that is bigger than the x value. So you can write a similar thing for y term as well. So because of this one, now we have this interesting result. So we can say that because the real z is the x value, that's the x coordinate. So because of that, and also the absolute value is this term, so this equals to the absolute value. So because of that, we have this inequality. And then similarly, if you write the same one for y instead of x, if you can write something for y, then you get this inequality. So these two are like really important in certain simplification steps. Okay, we call this equation 25. Now we have one more interesting property. So if you square the absolute value, and you can write this one as because we know the absolute value of z is the square root term, which is x squared y squared or square root. So when you square that, you're going to get this side. Um, the reason is that so when you distribute this, you can see that you get x plus iy and x minus iy. Because when you distribute, you can see that the you get x squared, and then you also get plus xyi and also minus xyi, and then finally you get negative I squared y squared. So you can see that these two terms get cancelled out, and I squared is -1, so this becomes positive y squared. So that's how the simplification work. And also this is like really important to remember this one, because we can use this equation like many times. Good. Also, this can be seen in a different way. The plus sign you can write as minus y squared. You can write it like that, and then you can write this one as minus um, I y whole thing squared. So we can write like that, and then we can use the difference of squares identity to get this one. So this is like another argument we can do. So because of this one, we are going to kind of consider how you can transform from x plus iy to x minus iy. So this has a special name. So this is what we normally call the number x minus iy is called the complex conjugate of x plus iy. So it doesn't really matter whether it's a minus sign. How we normally remember is Swiss sign. So if it's a +1, change it to minus. If it's a -1, change it to plus. That's how you remember the conjugate. And we also use this notation, the bar notation. So we put like a bar on top of it to mean the conjugate. So that means x plus iy bar equal x minus iy. Um, And also geometrically, taking the conjugate is reflect about the x-axis. So if we have a number there, so you can see x plus iy, what we do is we change the y coordinate. Change the y coordinate means is jump across the x-axis. Jump across the x-axis. That's what happens when you do take the conjugates. It's going to jump to x minus iy. So geometrically, this is also very important in certain problems. So the conjugate has these nice results. There are like 9 results as we can remember. So what it says that for any three complex numbers z, z1 and z2, so you can see that the conjugate of sum or difference equals to the sum or difference of conjugates, and also the product of conjugates equal to conjugate of products, uh, and also the conjugate of a quotient equal uh, quotient of conjugates. And if you take double conjugate, you get the number back. And as we see geometrically, so this is the absolute value of C, and this is the absolute value of C bar. So you can see that they are the same. Geometrically, they are the same. That's what this means. And also, this is like a very useful result. Um, as we discussed earlier, so if you square the absolute value of the complex number, it is equal to C times C bar. So it's a very, very important result, and you can see that we're going to see another application in a minute. And also, these two are also very important, and you can see that if you want to pull the x coordinate out, what you do is you take the average of z and c bar. If you want to take the y coordinate out, because this is x coordinate, if you take the y coordinate out, what we do, we take z minus z bar, which is the difference of those two. But you see that when you do that, you get I term, so you have to divide by I to cancel that to isolate y. And also, if you take the conjugate of e to the I phi, you can see that you simply change the sign of the angle. It's also clear from the figure. So you negate the angle. Okay, so let's try to prove just as an example part B. So if you take two complex numbers z1 and z2, and you can first write the product and then take the conjugate. So when you write the product using the multiplication definition, you get that. And then what we can do after that is you take the conjugate. Conjugate means change the sign. So change the sign and then you distribute. Once you distribute, you can see that you can factor those two terms like this. And you can see what we get is the conjugate of the two terms. So like it's a straightforward application of that. Now, uh, there's another nice application, nice formula that is important when you want to find the inverse of a non-zero complex number. So you can see that z to the negative 1, in other words 1 over z, and remember we had this result. We know that the absolute value squared equals to z and z bar. From that we can isolate 1 over z, and then you can get this result. So this is also like very useful formula that we can use. Uh, and also we have one of the very important formula called the triangle inequality. Triangle inequality. So what it says that so if you have the sum of a the absolute value of a sum is less than or equal to the sum of absolute values. So why we call this a triangle inequality? You can see that this is how you kind of draw a triangle. So if you have two complex numbers, you can write it like one is z1 and the other one is z2. So you can write it like that, and you can see that this is um, and if you take the diagonal one, or which is the simply the sum of the two, so you can see the length of this one is smaller than the length of those two. That is the reason why we call this is the triangle inequality, because that is the condition to draw a triangle when you are given three numbers. So we call triangle inequality. And how we can prove it? So to prove this one, we again use the same formula that we discussed here. So you can see that, for example, first you take the square of the absolute value. This one you can write as the product of the conjugate because of the result. We know this result. As I told you, like this is like very important result. So what we have here is the conjugate. So you multiply the number with its conjugate, you get the square of the absolute value. So we use that. And then what we do, we use the sum formula, and then we can distribute. And after you distribute, you try to bring it to this same form. What we do, the second term, you can write like this. So you because when the absolute value of the absolute value, no, a conjugate of a conjugate is a same term. So because of that, for the C2, we put two double conjugates, and you can write like that. And then you can see this is one of the identity that we discussed in the previous proposition, where if you add the two, if you add Z with Z bar, it is twice the real value. So because of that, you can write the two middle terms like that, and then we can use the inequality that we discussed earlier. So the real value is less than or equal to the absolute value. And then what you can do, you can break it down to two, and you can see that you can, so this is what you really get. And then you can see that this is simply the square of the sum. So like a simple algebra problem, but this is like a nice application of all those results that we learned in the previous proposition. Um, and also we use the inequality mentioned in equation 25. Okay, and then if you take the square root and you get the identity. So like try to remember this proof, because this is like some of the something that you really need to remember, because there are a lot of applications of this one. And then finally, as an extension, we have these results. So if we have, so you can see that you can even switch the terms, sign of the terms, and you still get the same identity, same triangle inequality. So this is something like you can try to prove. And then also we have another one, what we call the reverse triangle inequality. In the reverse triangle inequality, what will happen? There's a difference there. So if you have the difference, um, so the absolute value of difference of the complex numbers, and you can see that so the absolute value of the difference of absolute values is less than or equals to the terms without absolute sign. The reason is, and here you can see that there can be some addition going on here. But when you take the difference, you don't have that. You always take a difference there. But here, when you don't have absolute signs inside, you can see that it can add to each other. So that's the reason why, for example, if you think of a situation -3 and -2 like that, so it becomes -5. So in a situation like that, so you can add. And also this is also true for n number of terms. So that means if you have n number of complex numbers, and you can see that the triangle identity can be generalized to n number of terms. And you can actually prove this one using induction. So this is going to be an interesting problem for you, and this is like normally you prove in discrete mathematics courses for real numbers. So try to prove this one using induction, and see whether you can get a complete proof for this one. Okay, so this is the end of section 1.3. Now let's talk about some practice problems.